Kyle Rittenhouse, you may or may not know. Do you know who this is, Austin? You haven't been watching the news at all.
I know who he is, yes. I know he shot and killed 3 people.
No, he shot and killed 2 and maimed a 3rd.
Okay.
So he was a 17-year-old boy at the time, went down to Kenosha, across the state border, 20 to 30 minute drive away from where he was.
Yeah.
And got an AR-15 there that his friend had purchased. I believe through a straw purchase, if I'm not mistaken. And he ran around town and defended private property. And in that process, this dude by the name of Rosenbaum ran after him. Okay. And Kyle shot him in the head. And then stood on top of him for a second, freaking the fuck out. And then he ran away. And of course, everyone that was there was like, oh my God, there is a, Nazi active shooter here. We need to stop this. You know what I mean? And it was a chaotic situation. I'm saying that was what their mindset was. I'm not saying he was a Nazi, so don't fucking lose your mind, people who are watching. It's the mindset of the people that were there at the time. And in the process of trying to apprehend this person because they thought he was an active shooter, someone ran up to him, a brave person ran up to him with a skateboard, which he shot. And then another was running towards him, and he had a handgun in his hand. He wasn't pointing the handgun at him. He actually put his hands up with the handgun when Kyle said stop, trying to apprehend him and trying to get his gun away from him. And he shot and maimed the 3rd person. He went home that night. He passed by the cops, went home. And then the trial started almost a year later. So it's finally coming to a close. By the time this podcast is out tomorrow, the verdict will be reached. I suspect it's going to be not guilty. Okay. And here are some highlights. So let's take a look. He was crying. That was pretty funny. People are very, very heated on the internet about this. This is the internet's #1 story to discuss. Okay. And that's because I dubbed this like the George Zimmerman of the Zoomer generation. Like George Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin was a pivotal case for millennials. A lot of millennials became like straight up 4chan Nazis after that. They're like, what the fuck? This is bullshit. Like George Zimmerman had a right to defend himself against this like scary thug, Trayvon Martin. You know what I mean? And I think that like a lot of kids now are watching this and going, oh, Kyle Rittenhouse, he reminds me of myself, and he has every right and responsibility to fucking defend himself, and are defending him relentlessly.
Once I take that step back, I look over my shoulder, and Mr. Rosenbaum was now running from my right side. And I was cornered from in front of me with Mr. Zeminski. And there were people right there.
Look. He's going to look at the jury. Watch. 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 It's coming.
That's what I...
Look, he's looking at the jury.
That's what I run.
Did you see that little peek there?
Time for our break anyway. You can just relax for a minute, sir. We're going to take a break about 10 minutes.
This judge was a psycho, dude.
Read, watch, or listen to any kind of trap.
So he cried a lot, and people were saying he's traumatized, his PTSD. He's like, bitch, he killed 2 people, and he's going to walk. What the fuck do you mean? Like, oh no, he's traumatized by the fucking, he brought a gun to a fucking protest as a counter protester under this like psychotic premise that he's going to defend private property. Okay. And then he ended up literally using that gun, and now he's fucking crying on the stand. It's like, first of all, it's fake. I think the tears are bullshit. Okay, I will say that. This is. I feel like I've lost my mind because this is like one of the few instances where I feel like not American. I guess where I cannot comprehend anybody defending someone who brought an AR-15 to a fucking protest as a counter protester under the insane premise that they're going to defend private property. Like, why is that normal? I feel like in no other country, in no other comparable OECD nation on this planet, would you be able to do that? Like, you would just go to jail. They'd be like, oh, this is an active shooter. We need to stop this immediately. You know what I mean? But in America, it's like an American thing. Of course, you're going to bring your AR-15. And he got away with it. They dropped the fucking charges of like him being underage while walking around with a gun because the barrel was long enough that it could be considered a hunting rifle. If it was a shorter barrel, he would have gotten charged with that for sure, guaranteed, right? And the judge literally fucking.
So a hunting rifle in the middle of like a metropolitan area.
But it wasn't even a hunting rifle. It's an AR-15. It's just that the barrel distinction was used there to make it seem like it was technically a rifle you could use to hunt. So like if you're 17, you can go out in the woods and hunt, right? And it's fucking Wisconsin law states that you can, you won't get charged with like underage possession of a weapon if you're just out to hunt. You know what I mean?
But you're like,
so they use that loophole to use it in Kenosha to like absolve him of that charge. And it's madness. I feel like I'm losing my mind that so many Americans are like, nah, man, I would do the same thing. Like, that's why they're defending him. You know what I mean? They're like, self-defense. Yeah, it's like, technically it meets the legal, if you rob the situation of its context and you hyper-focus exclusively on like, did a guy run up to you and you shot them? Is that self-defense? Yeah, it is self-defense, okay? Also, the background of the dude who originally started the whole thing, like who ran up on him, he's like a convicted sex offender. So like immediately they were like, it's over. This is a 17-year-old white kid who wants to be a cop shooting a fucking convicted sex offender at the BLM protest. So like obviously every conservative is like going to be like, fuck this guy, right? But like it doesn't matter because like Kyle Rittenhouse didn't know that. You can't just like set these legal precedents by allowing people to go free when they just, engage in vigilantism because you're creating a terrifying situation where there's going to be more Kyle Rittenhouses running around knowing full well that the Republican media apparatus will defend them unconditionally if they go to a natural disaster or if they go to a fucking protest with a gun. And if someone, because they're like brandishing it, or if someone is scared and someone is like, trying to get the gun away or confronts them, okay, because that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a confrontation when you have a gun. And they shoot that other person that's confronting them, self-defense, baby. Everyone will defend me. And I think that that's terrifying. I think that that's like psychotic. America is insane for even having a conversation about this. But here we are.